With strength and honor, we return back to Ridley Scott's Rome Colosseum. In Gladiator II. Gladiator was always one of my favorite movies. Sequels aren't always better, and this is definitely an example of how hard it truly can be to make a second movie just as perfect as its first movie. Still, for what they were able to do, there was actually a great attempt at doing it all here. It's a tough movie to persevere, yes, which was also true like its predecessor, but you will still be entertained by its gorgeous world building and getting that vibe of getting to learn more of Rome's ancient history. So in today's movie review, we are going to be reviewing Gladiator II. We will be discussing why this movie still rocks, but also how it misses that spectacle touch on battling in the same leagues as its predecessor. Before we start this video, don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoy it. And don't forget to subscribe, as well as hitting the bell icon to see more content. Thank you, and enjoy. Starting with the positives, the characters are likable and all feel very reminiscent from the first movie, even if they aren't as memorable. Lucius, the son of Maximus from the first movie, does well on living up to the standards of his father. I'm just glad they didn't kill him off. Macrinus is a great villain who has a lot of building through the story, and even Lucilla returns from the first movie, who is feared by a lot because of her popularity after the original. The action is also more than its predecessor. It's in fact better even. There's more than just basic gladiator fights. The scenes have more bloodshed, and even animals take part in as well. Despite this being historically inaccurate, which we will be talking about later, it was awesome to see a bunch of gore from strong animal teeth like rhinos and sharks. Also, there's baboons that were in the fights, which are very historically accurate animals. Here's something that this movie also does better than its predecessor. Its world building is still fantastic. Since this is modern day cinema, you can see the effort put in this. It shows that Ridley Scott never lacks any sense of epic scale. Unlike some movies that take themselves seriously with their own visuals instead of focusing a lot on its story, Gladiator II captures elements both visually and narratively. With a massive budget, you can see the effort it took to make a realistic Rome. Just like its predecessor, the acting here is also very sharp. There's definitely some award-worthy performances here. Paul Mescal brings a lot of life into playing Lucius, as he follows the similar elements that Maximus held until his death. The best actor here, though, goes to Denzel Washington as Macrinus, flicking his sleeves as he steps foot in each scene. The way that he was cast here and shows his cunning performance just shows how Ridley Scott nails an actor choice down for the character. Something that also makes this movie great. The music score is still amazing. Taking the original themes and co-composing them, it matches beautifully with its past and present-like vibe, as it comes with its astonishing special / sound effects during the battle scenes. The main element that carries this is its powerful orchestra, showing the legacy that Lucius is trying to hold to succeed his father's legacy. What this movie also does right is its costume designs, being very faithful to its original ancient material. With help from its charismatic actors, it helps bring life to make the original characters have more realism alongside the quiet character leads. The sound design is also amazing, especially how good the sword and shield effects sound. There's definitely some additional layers done here, and it makes the film feel very powerful as you continue to watch. To conclude the positives, Ridley Scott's direction is top standards, especially his world building, like I mentioned. The cinematography also still rocks, especially some of the darker scenes. This, combined with the narrative that makes Rome more than just ancient, really does bring it to life here. It gives off that feeling of when in the Colosseum watching the fights, you feel part of it, like you are part of the audience watching the battles. It makes it feel really authentic, and I could not get enough of its sheer beauty. So now for what holds this movie back from being as great as its predecessor. For the first negative, unlike its predecessor, there's not enough of an emotional punch to be seen here. The first Gladiator did well on depicting a character's change of story arc to becoming the legendary gladiator before his death. This film, however, has deaths that felt like it needed to happen, and we are not given time to feel empathy for them and just overall become forgettable, which is taken for the story being all over the place. Another negative this movie has is it feels not only less inspiring than its predecessor, but it also copies similar elements. Like, the main plot hasn't changed much. A slave becomes a gladiator and fights against another former slave that plans to gain power over controlling Rome. And much like his father, Lucius becomes the leader of the gladiators and wants revenge after the Romans, led by Arcadius, kills his wife. Something else this film feels lacking of, and definitely its biggest problem, is its historical inaccuracies. At one point, a gladiator is seen riding on a rhino, and there are sharks. Just Hollywood being Hollywood. Like it's trying to craft a new sense of history completely out of the blue. Characters are introduced despite never appearing in ancient times, and a lot of the changes doesn't make sense. Geta and Caracalla were not twins, as an example. To conclude the negatives, even when this movie gets to its main story point and continues its narrative point, it also felt like it dragged on for very long. It was very difficult to not only follow, but stay engaged. Some of the scenes kind of just felt like filler scenes that happen because they need to. There's also a lot of dialogue, and some of the characters get boring to watch because of how much screen time each of them get. Overall, my final opinion on Gladiator II, it's definitely still entertaining. Without a doubt. It's just not quite reaching the same standards like its predecessor did. Gladiator II, while nowhere near as good as the original, is a great historical movie that does what a sequel should do 20 years later. Everything that captures the ancient vibe remains faithful. The new characters are very engaging to watch. The action is the highlight of the film. The narrative and cinematography really do help the film come to life. But my gripes with this movie is that it's very hard to follow, even for a person who studied history forever. Not just that, but it's pretty historically inaccurate, and I wish there was more emotion. I was, however, still having a good time with this sequel, so it wasn't a waste of my time period. But it also shows just how hard it is to live up to an original film's classic standards. On a spectacle aspect, from start to finish, it will still always be the same epic extravaganza. What is your opinion on Gladiator II? Did it truly make you feel entertained to its action-packed plot? Does it remain as a worthy follow-up to its original story? And what is it you enjoy the most from these sci-fi epics? Let me know in the comment section below, and also don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you are new, and hit that bell icon to see more content on my channel. Thanks for watching. Gladiator 2 is all about strength and honor in making a long-awaited epic comeback to ancient Rome, and while it may not quite live up to the standards of its predecessor, it comes close enough to be entertaining.